I am cicada-catching, an obscure artist so irrelevant that even the big boss can't remember my name. After 3 years of muddling through the entertainment industry, half working, half playing, I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel, my contract termination day. In the final month before regaining my freedom, I decided to just be my true self. To hell with those fake personas of being hardworking, gentle, and kind-hearted. Gloomy, apathetic, and looking half-dead, that is my true essence. Joining a reality show, while others frantically sought camera time to win favor, I was the only one curled up in a corner, quietly devouring all the snacks and food prepared by the crew. Few, almost starved to death. When the camera panned over, everyone was laughing, talking, and discussing lively. Everyone except for me. I was lying flat on the floor right behind them, my head drooping, as quiet as a mummy. During games, while others ran themselves ragged looking for clues, I took 2 steps and rested for 3. If there was a place to sit, I absolutely wouldn't stand. If there was a place to lie down, I absolutely wouldn't sit. Few, almost died of exhaustion. Every time the camera accidentally caught me, if I wasn't eating, I was sleeping. Occasionally, my head would drop as if someone had just sucked all the life force out of me. Netizens left brutal comments. Great, this zombie-like state perfectly mirrors my mental state right now. Why does this look exactly like me when I'm about to quit my job? Hey, take down the hidden camera in my house right now. When the contract expiration day came, I dusted off my pants and left. Who would have thought millions of netizens would cry and beg me to come back? cicada-catching had been in the industry for 3 years and was still an absolute nobody. Even my own boss, upon seeing me, stood with his mouth agape for a long time, unable to squeeze out my name. I personally felt that I really wasn't cut out for this profession. My boss was a good guy, he treated all the artists under him very fairly. The resources were divided so evenly that even a math teacher would feel ashamed. He rummaged through his memory for a while and finally called out a name, Sulina. I shyly bowed my head. The manager standing next to him gently reminded, Boss, Fu Nana terminated her contract and left last month. The boss looked a bit embarrassed. Ahem, these 2 girls are so pretty and look alike, I couldn't tell them apart. Then it's Xueyu, right? I buried my head deep into my impressive chest. The manager wiped his sweat. Boss, Xueyu joined a film crew a few days ago. The boss fell silent. I also fell silent. Unable to hold it in, I finally spoke up, Boss, I am cicada-catching. The boss patted his head, suddenly realizing, I remember you now. You just signed the contract, right? I almost burst into tears. Sorry boss, I signed it 3 years ago. The boss fell silent again. He hesitated, about to say something, then turned to ask the manager, when does her contract expire? August next year, sir. The boss made a decision, terminate the contract a year early and pay her double the compensation. Hearing about the contract termination, tears streamed down my face. Hearing about the double compensation, I immediately wiped my tears dry. The boss said sincerely, I gave you so many resources, and let alone making the audience remember your face, you haven't even managed to win me over. Why don't you quit this industry, take the money, and start a small business? That way I lose less, and you earn more. I was moved to tears. Thank you, boss. Thank you so much. And just like that, my career was considered over. Strictly speaking, there was still a month left, but whatever, it was practically the same. I happily booked a train ticket to my hometown in advance, planning to go on a vacation as soon as the compensation money hit my account. As a result, my front foot had barely stepped out of the company lobby when my back foot was caught by my manager. What are you doing? You still have a reality show to attend. I felt the world spinning. I'm about to quit my job, and you still want to squeeze out my last bit of value? The manager said that if I didn't go, there would be no compensation money. Hearing that, I instantly leaped onto the pirate ship. What can you do? People die for wealth, birds die for food. Previously, to help me get famous, the company had built a series of beautiful but extremely unrealistic personas for me. Like the Vibe King, the comedian, or the pure, energetic white flower. Hey, in reality, I am an introverted, aloof, and incredibly lazy person. The manager sympathized with my situation, so he helped remove all my shackles. This month, you don't need to act out any persona, just be yourself. I thought to myself, is there anyone who goes to work and actually acts like their true self? But oh well, there was no other way. For the compensation money, I finally appeared at the show's recording. This show was one of the countless programs I took hoping the audience would remember my face. Its popularity was quite high, mainly because it was broadcast live. Not only could they interact with the audience instantly, but it also showed the stars' lives in the most authentic way. Therefore, the netizens loved it. But for me, since this was my last job before quitting, I hated it bitterly. After learning that I had to sit on a high-speed train for 8 hours and take a taxi for another 3 hours to get there, I hated it even more. Damn it, I'm quitting, why is it still such a hassle? Riding the bumpy car until I almost forgot who I was, I finally arrived at the filming location. As soon as I got out, everyone was enthusiastically greeting and chatting with each other. Only I, as if I had wheels attached to my feet, sprinted to my room, threw my whole body onto the soft mattress, and peacefully closed my eyes. Live comments. Did something just flash by? Weren't there 6 people? Why is one suddenly missing? There's a rat in the team, I'm not kidding. When I opened my eyes, it was already 8 p.m. Everyone was sitting in the living room chatting. I greeted everyone one by one, then found my spot and sprawled out. Someone suggested, how about we briefly introduce ourselves? A young man stood up. Then I'll start first. Hello everyone, I am Sue Fan. My representative work is the movie 30 and 1. My personality is passionate, outgoing, and I love playing games. I listened while my eyelids fought each other continuously. I nodded off sleepily, but didn't forget to stuff more popcorn into my mouth. 10 minutes later, it was my turn. Under everyone's expectant gaze, I stood up and bowed deeply to the group. Xiaojixing. Having said the name, I acted as if a heavy burden had been lifted. I shrank back into my seat, lowered my head, and went right back to eating popcorn. Live comments. Is this the person who disappeared earlier? Was she sucked dry of her life force by someone or what? But then again, out of all these people, I only remembered Xiaojixing's name. Just after the self-introductions, the director off-camera handed over a mission card. These were the tasks we had to complete. Everyone would split into teams to compete, the team with the most points would win in the end. The whole group got excited and huddled together, discussing the team division very passionately. Right when the discussion reached its climax, the live comment section raised a question. Wait, it looks like one person is missing again. Where is Xiaojixing? The director, who was constantly monitoring the live comments, also froze. He knew I was about to quit, so he originally didn't want to waste screen time on me, but seeing more and more people asking about me, he felt too much pressure and had to wave for the cameraman to go find where I was. And then, both of them fell silent. Everyone followed the cameraman and turned their heads to look. Sure enough, they saw me lying stiffly on the floor right behind them. My face looked incredibly peaceful, my head drooped, as quiet as a corpse. No one dared to move. Everyone thought I had passed away, until I softly let out a light snore. Well, it turned out I had just fallen asleep. Live comments. So stars can also work in a zombie-like state? And so blatantly, too? I have no grudge against this comrade, so why is she perfectly acting out my exact mental state? Anyway, this half-dead persona is pretty impressive. Hey, please take down the camera in my house. And remember to turn on the beauty filter for me. Seeing that everyone's mental state isn't much better than mine, I feel reassured. By the time I woke up, everyone had already finished dividing the teams. Teaming up with me wa/users/Chuyan/Pexels_videos, a rather timid-looking girl. She nervously tapped my shoulder. Hello, Xiaojixing. I rubbed my sleepy eyes and recognized her. It was Xiao Chu, a rising starlet who had recently been sabotaged by a rival and hit with malicious rumors after playing a villainous supporting role. Even now, she was facing a fierce boycott from netizens. Birds of a feather flock together, true camaraderie in misery breeds sympathy. As an 18th-tier artist nobody cared about, I naturally rushed to grab her hands with both of mine. Nice to meet you, Xiao Chu. Her hands were so pale and smooth. Yikes, why do I sound like a total pervert? Xiao Chu froze for a moment, then shyly pulled her hands back. We're in the same team. I smiled and nodded. That's great. Xiao Chu bit her lip. My stamina is a bit weak. I might drag you down. I thought to myself, you are so pretty, just looking at your face is enough to make me down 3 bowls of rice. How could you possibly drag me down? So, I shook my head with a serious expression, don't worry, just leave it to me. I'm as strong as an ox. Xiao Chu smiled. To my eyes, this smile looked a bit forced, like a standard customer service smile. The director grabbed a megaphone and started shouting, Teams, take your positions. We will begin the first game right now. I let out a yawn, found a small stool in the corner, and sat down. Everyone else stood in perfectly straight lines, waiting for the director's instructions. Just so we could hear clearly, the director kept pacing back and forth, from left to right. This game will take place in the field. The mission is called planting peanuts. 2 members need to coordinate, one digs the soil, the other drops the seeds and covers them. Each hole needs about 3 to 4 seeds, covered by 3 to 5 centimeters of soil. The time limit is 5 minutes. The team that plants the most holes with the correct technique wins and gets 5 extra points. Everyone clapped in unison to show they understood. Having finished explaining, the director marched right up to me. What are you doing? I gave a long yawn. I'm still listening, director. The director nodded and pointed at the stool under my butt. That is my seat. Ah, so that's how it is. I scrambled up in a panic, apologizing profusely, then picked up the stool and bolted back to the line. The director was speechless. He had to go find a new stool. Just look at the way he glared at me, he was practically grinding his teeth. Live comments. Is this Xiaojixing planning to retire right after this show? She totally offended the director. Her screen time is definitely going to get cut. Everyone, watch her while you can. At the director's command, the teams started planting with all their might. Team 1 was full of energy. As the camera panned over, they had already filled several holes. Netizens commented, this team is definitely winning. Not even a minute has passed and they've got nearly 10 holes. So impressive, they're working even harder than I do back in my hometown. Team 2 didn't have as much stamina, but they were meticulous. Every single hole was stepped on until it was perfectly flat. Comments, I vote for Team 2. They are much more careful, not rushing like Team 1. Team 1 has both speed and quality, don't drag them down, upstairs commenter. Isn't Team 2 a bit too careful? He's about to polish the dirt into a smooth floor. The camera kept panning back and forth between those 2 teams, completely ignoring us. Only occasionally, when filming the other teams, did our figures accidentally slip into the frame. Of course, this was exactly what I wanted. If you're slacking off at work, the fewer people who know, the better. Xiao Chu didn't seem to care much about the lack of screen time either. She raised her hoe high and dug a perfectly standard hole. I tagged along closely on my little stool, threw in 3 peanuts, and then stood up to stomp the dirt flat. Just kidding, as if I'd do that. I just sat flat on my stool and stepped on it, half-heartedly covering the soil. Even if the apocalypse came, nothing could separate me from my beloved stool. Finally, the 5 minutes were up. The director blew the whistle, and everyone stopped working. The agricultural expert stepped forward to check the planting. First was Team 1. The expert counted, they actually had a whopping 46 holes. Hearing this number, Team 1 hugged each other in joy, acting as if victory was already in the bag. Live comments, wow, Team 1 has this in the bag. Wonder if the quality meets the standard though. Sure enough, the expert started frowning. He closely observed the covered soil and commented, no good, the soil is too thin. Thin soil will expose the seeds to the air, which is bad for germination. Due to their lack of experience, Team 1 couldn't gauge the soil thickness. As a result, out of 46 holes, only 10 barely met the requirements. Live comments, whoa, that strict? I guess only a real farmer could get it perfectly right, huh? Next, the expert walked over to Team 2. With just one glance, his eyebrows knit tightly together in an upside-down V. He sighed, I told you to plant seeds, not to pave a road. Team 2 had planted 28 holes. If it weren't for the camera recording everything, the expert almost wouldn't have been able to count them. The holes connected to each other, turning a patch of the field into a perfectly flat dirt path. The expert sighed, you packed it so tightly, even if the peanuts used cannons, they probably couldn't blast their way out. Team 2 lowered their heads in embarrassment. Their valid holes amounted to a mere 4. Finally, it was our team's turn. Xiao Chu was eagerly looking forward to it, while I was dead tired and sleepy. The expert swept his eyes over our patch and gasped in astonishment. 15 holes. Did you two reward yourselves with a nap after digging every single hole? Then he bent down to look closely, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. Well, picking the best out of a bad bunch, you two actually did a decent job. Xiao Chu was thrilled. We looked at each other and smiled. The director announced the final results. Team 1 got 10 holes, Team 2 got 4 holes, and our Team 3 miraculously got 12 holes. We narrowly won by 2 holes and were awarded the 5 extra points. At night, Xiao Chu and I were naturally assigned to the same room. Exhausted after a long day, I couldn't wait to climb into bed and sleep. As a result, I was woken up right in the middle of a sweet dream. At 12 midnight, the director called us out to compete. It turned out that Yifan from Team 1 was dissatisfied with the daytime results. He kept pestering the director, demanding a rematch. Going to work is annoying enough normally, yet this guy was forcing me to work overtime. How could anyone tolerate this? I yawned continuously, and Xiao Chu's condition wasn't much better. Both of us were so sleepy we were about to pass out. On the contrary, Yifan and his teammate Chen Hao were brimming with energy. They even boldly declared to us, this morning was just an oversight on our part. Our true skill level isn't like that. I feigned surprise. Oh, so after seeing the answer key, now you want to retake the test? Absolute peak behavior. Yifan blushed at my words but still craned his neck. Director, you promised at noon. The director quickly chimed in, the expert also said there were errors in the results. Let's just do a rematch, it won't take much time. I thought to myself, taking advantage of the situation right when people are dying of sleep deprivation. Really fishing in troubled waters, aren't we? Xiao Chu leaned in close to my ear and whispered, those two slept for 2 or 3 hours this afternoon. We definitely can't beat them. I was puzzled. How do you know? Xiao Chu awkwardly looked away and stammered, I just guessed. By now, I couldn't even keep my eyes open. Then I heard Yifan's booming voice again, Director, how about we do 10 minutes? 5 minutes isn't satisfying enough. I cursed inwardly, satisfying my foot. Xiao Chu laughed out loud in frustration. She raised her hand, Director, this is too unfair. We're just waiting for the match to end so we can sleep. The director wiped his sweat. 10 minutes it is. Xiao Chu choked on her anger and was about to step forward to argue, but I stopped her. Those two are the darlings of the entertainment industry. Their fans are fierce. It's better not to make enemies. Xiao Chu pursed her lips and finally swallowed her anger. At the director's signal, Yi Fan and Chen Hao began their hole-digging campaign. Their movements were as fast as lightning. One dug, the other planted, coordinating perfectly. Looking back at our side, the director was speechless. Yi Fan was so angry he was seeing stars. The two of us had dug one giant hole and lined it with a thick mat. We fully intended to lie down right there and enjoy a nice nap. Because there were only two teams competing this time, the camera had to film us no matter what. So, when the lens panned over, the comment section exploded again. Live comments. That's Xia Zhixing, she never disappoints me. A true real-life version of taking the sky as a blanket and the earth as a bed. If I were bullied and dragged out of bed like this, I'd crawl to the director's ear in the middle of the night and scream, "Do you think you're being fair?" Finally, the agonizingly long 10 minutes passed. Yi Fan and his partner managed to dig a whopping 128 holes. The expert, who had been dragged out of bed in the middle of the night, muttered curses as he conducted his inspection. He didn't even bother to look closely, he just declared 128 valid holes and announced the two guys as the winners. Then, still grumbling and cursing, he trudged back to sleep. Xiao Chu woke me up. In perfect sync, the two of us clapped and congratulated them. Congrats, congrats. Our applause was sparse and weak, but what mattered was our sincere, congratulatory spirit. After that, we supported each other, muttering curses of our own the whole way back to our room to sleep. I slept straight through until the sun was high in the sky, only to be woken up by a continuously yawning Xiao Chu. I looked at the clock, it was already 2:30 p.m. Xia Zhixing, wake up, the second round is about to start. We dragged our completely lifeless bodies out to the main hall. Everyone had already gathered. We found a secluded corner to sit down. The moment I saw the pile of snacks on the table, my eyes lit up. The director stood at the front to summarize. First, I want to thank everyone for the success of yesterday's competition. Thanks to your hard work, the show went so smoothly. I tore open a sausage packet and finished it in 2 bites. However, precisely because of our hard work and the sweat we put in, the show's popularity has kept rising. It is currently topping the charts. I picked up a piece of cake and took a bite, leaving only my fingers holding thin air. Therefore, to thank the netizens for their attention, we plan to randomly answer a few questions from the live comments. Let's see, a comment from a user named Whoever Touches Pooped Eyes says, "Wow. Look at that mouth as big as an abyss." I was in the middle of opening my mouth as wide as possible when I heard this. Question mark? Surely they aren't talking about me, right? The director choked on his words a bit. He paused, then kept looking at his phone. Another comment from Hot-Blooded Lady says, Xia Zhixing is really multi-talented, participating in a variety show while concurrently doing a mukbang. Ah, they really were talking about me. The moment the camera panned over, I hurriedly clamped my mouth shut, trying to look as demure and virtuous as possible while forcing a smile. Even though I was about to retire, I didn't want to carry a bad reputation for the rest of my life. I didn't want people pointing at me on the street in the future going, "Look, it's her." Who? The girl with the abyss mouth. Oh, her? Thinking of that, I shivered and quickly smiled even more gently. Live comments. There's still sauce on the corner of her mouth, good lord. The director coughed lightly, looked at me, and said, Xia Zhixing, when participating in a show, you should pay a little attention to your image. Yi Fan looked incredibly smug. Eating so crudely, be careful or you'll get cancelled by the industry in the future. I thought to myself, well, thank you so much for that. I'm literally about to retire, and you're threatening to cancel me? Xiao Chu looked at me in surprise and whispered, are you really retiring? Huh? Her question caught me off guard. Besides the director, nobody else knew I was quitting, right? The director clapped his hands, drawing our attention back. Next, we will enter the second round. This round will take place in the woods, starting at 9:30 p.m. The mission is to catch cicadas. Later, everyone will receive a reference picture of a cicada. The mission time is 30 minutes. The team that catches the most wins. There are still 3 or 4 hours until then. Everyone go prepare your tools. Following the director's orders, everyone stood up to go buy cicada-catching gear. I stuffed the rest of the cake into my mouth. Xiao Chu held up her phone to show me. The internet says we need bottles and flashlights. I nodded and added, we also need a wheelchair. Xiao Chu stared at me blankly, completely confused. Finally, night fell, and everyone gathered in the woods. The director shouted through his megaphone, "Is everyone ready?" Team 1 brought a 3-meter-long pole, flashlights, and a large bucket. Yi Fan excitedly showed off, "This is the straightest pole I could find in the pile." Team 2 prepared gear similar to Team 1. When it was our turn, Xiao Chu and I spoke in unison, "Huh? We needed to bring a pole?" Yi Fan mocked us. "How are you going to catch them without a pole? The trees are 2 meters tall, are you planning to fly up there?" The director glanced at me with an utterly indescribable expression. "You're already in a wheelchair, and you still forgot to bring a pole?" Live comments. I don't know who will get first place, but Xia Zhixing is definitely dead last. Hilarious, catching cicadas without a pole. Maybe she plans to fly her wheelchair up to catch them. She'd rather sit in a wheelchair than stand. Xia Zhixing moves me to tears. The director yelled, "Start." The 3 teams split up in different directions. Xiao Chu and I chose a small path where the trees on both sides weren't too tall. The 2 of us proudly drove our wheelchair, kicking off tonight's mission. As a result, after barely moving a few feet, we hit a massive pothole. Both the wheelchair and I flipped completely over. Xiao Chu asked anxiously, "Are you okay, Xia Zhixing?" I flashed her an okay hand sign to indicate I was still alive. Xiao Chu was worried. "Maybe we shouldn't use the wheelchair, it's too dangerous." I shook my head. "It's just a fall. I can take it." We finally spotted our first cicada on a tree. Unfortunately, it had crawled a bit too high. Xiao Chu stretched out her arm to reach it, but was short by a whole arm's length. Then she stood on the wheelchair to reach, still short by a pinky finger's length. I scratched my head. Should we look around for a stick? After searching for a long time, we finally found one. But by the time we climbed back onto the wheelchair and raised the stick, the cicada had already crawled halfway up the tree. As expected, we still couldn't reach it. I sighed, even a cicada is more ambitious and driven than I am. Xiao Chu just laughed. So, the 2 of us just rode the wheelchair through the forest. Xiao Chu stood on the back pedals of the wheelchair for me, while I drove the electric wheelchair speeding at 30 kilometers per hour. As for the competition? We had long thrown that to the back of our minds. Wasn't going for a joyride a million times better than catching cicadas? While zooming past a large tree, Xiao Chu suddenly cried out, "Wait, there's something there." She pointed the flashlight straight at the big tree. I slammed on the brakes and followed the beam of light upward. I thought to myself, Xiao Chu's eyesight is really good, spotting something from this far away. We're finally going to break our zero-catch record. However, looking closely, the smile vanished from my lips. The thing on the tree was slithering, its whole body smooth and slippery. Oh crap! It's a red-tailed bamboo pit viper. In an instant, our blood-curdling screams echoed through the entire forest. Since it was midsummer, there were a ton of people out catching cicadas. There was practically one person for every 3 trees. This time, we lost face utterly and completely. The agonizing 30 minutes finally passed. The director called us back to check our results. Team 1 was frighteningly fierce, catching a whopping 50 bugs. The director looked closely for a while and finalized the valid count at 30. Yi Fan was dissatisfied. Why? The director picked out a small golden bug. This isn't a cicada, it's a scarab beetle. Yi Fan scratched his head and chuckled awkwardly. Team 2 caught 16. The director quickly verified all 16. Finally, it was our turn. The director looked at our bottle. Completely empty. Not a single bug. He looked at us and asked, "Did you eat them raw?" Xiao Chu's face flushed bright red. We didn't have a pole, a lot of them were too high to reach. I hurriedly nodded in agreement. Exactly. If we had a pole, we'd have caught dozens. Live comments. I bear witness. She's lying. The director didn't scold us much, only leaving us with a deeply meaningful look. Sure enough, he started his tricks, announcing to everyone. The crew did not prepare dinner tonight. The teams have to prepare their own dinner, and the main ingredient is the cicadas in your hands. Of course, we have prepared steamed buns and cooking utensils. A tip, deep frying them is delicious. As soon as the director finished speaking, the other teams cheerfully went to cook. Except for us. Frying cicadas was fast, and soon a mouth-watering aroma wafted through the air. The smell made me drool profusely. But in my hands, I only had a single, pale steamed bun just handed out by the crew. Xiao Chu and I looked at each other, almost bursting into tears on the spot. So, in perfect mutual understanding, the two of us slinked over to Team Yi Fan's stall. Yi Fan picked up a few fried cicadas, stuffed them into his bun, and took a huge bite. His face showed pure satisfaction, one look and you knew it was genuinely delicious. Xiao Chu and I just stared hungrily, chewing on our bland, wax-like steamed buns. Yi Fan couldn't withstand the assault of our pathetic gazes anymore and ended up giving us 3 bugs each. Eat, just eat, please. Xiao Chu and I thanked him profusely, happily savoring every single bite. Wow, it really is delicious. The agonizingly long, month-long filming finally came to an end. Xiao Chu packed her bags to head straight to her new film crew the next day. As for me, feeling light as a feather, I had already bought my train ticket back to my hometown. Xiao Chu was a bit surprised. Are you really going back to your hometown? Are you truly retiring? I nodded. Xiao Chu still wanted to persuade me. Do you want to reconsider? I think you've gotten quite popular after this show. I shook my head. Honestly, I don't think I fit in this industry. How should I put it? Maybe my EQ is a bit low, and it's easy for me to offend people. Xiao Chu smiled bitterly, even with high EQ, you still get attacked anyway. I nodded in sympathy. Xiao Chu was genuinely famous for having high EQ in the industry. Not only was she polite, but she was also a rare top-tier student. Yet, just because she got in a rival's way, she was mercilessly smeared. I deeply understand. It's too scary, so I'm choosing to leave. If you stay in a place for too long without seeing results, it's better to try your luck in a different profession, I comforted her. You should read less of the online gossip. Just focus on yourself and improve your professional skills, and you'll feel much better. Xiao Chu shook her head. Every time I have a fan meeting, I hear a lot of malicious thoughts. On the outside, they act like they're welcoming me, but deep down, they're all cursing me to die. I hurriedly waved my hands. How is that possible? You're just overthinking it. Don't pay attention to how others look at you, just live for yourself. Xiao Chu didn't say anything more. She quietly finished packing her luggage and collapsed onto the bed. Suddenly, it felt like I realized something. I opened my mouth hesitantly. Did you just say you heard their inner voices? Xiao Chu turned around to look at me. In that split second, everything clicked. Pausing for a moment, I said softly, Xiao Chu, listen to me. Caring too much about other people's opinions will suffocate you. I know saying this might not help much, but I still have to say it, focusing on yourself will make you feel lighter. You can take on more acting roles to hone your craft, which is also a good way to avoid hearing the curses from anti-fans. Time will wash away all the gossip. What you need to do is keep improving so you can become stronger. Xiao Chu nodded. She asked me, so, you're still retiring? I scratched my head. The termination contract is already signed. I have to go. Xiao Chu smiled gently. In the future, if you ever want to act again, just look for me. If I can help, I definitely will give you a hand. I laughed and reached out my hand. Come on, pinky promise. Xiao Chu smiled too, hooking her pinky finger with mine. Pinky promise. Right after the filming wrapped up, the compensation money hit my account. Looking at the number on my bank card, I was ecstatic. I immediately decided to go on a half-month vacation to reward myself for 3 years of hardship. I remembered the days when, in order to get acting roles, I went on every reality show and took on every extra role. The result? After 3 years of struggling, I came up empty-handed and returned to being a pathetic ordinary person. Now, I just had to enjoy myself to the fullest. As a result, right after touring the West Lake, my manager called. Xia Zhixing, do you want to come back to the company? I asked, are there movies for me to act in? The manager replied, there are reality shows for you to join. I answered flatly, then I don't want to. The manager scolded angrily, you finally gained some popularity. Are you absolutely sure you don't want to seize this chance? I replied, actually, my original goal when entering this industry was to act. If coming back means I just have to play the clown to please the public, then why should I return? The manager got furious and hung up on me. I casually opened Weibo to take a look. The top 3 spots on the hot search list were all about me. Xia Zhixing come back. Xia Zhixing come back and keep acting out my mental state. The first day Xia Zhixing left, I already miss her. No wonder he wanted me back. It turned out I was actually famous now. I never expected that less than a week after retiring, I would blow up like this. I remembered how hard I used to try to show my face and create a persona, all just hoping for a bit of this fame. Yet now that I had it, my heart was as calm as a placid lake. By the time I returned from my vacation, Xiao Chu's new drama had started airing. This time, she wasn't playing a vicious female supporting role, but the male lead's White Moonlight, a character who died early in the story. I had to admit, this role suited her perfectly. Gentle, quiet, with an ethereal aura, playing the unforgettable heartbreak who left too soon was truly the right choice. As expected, as soon as the drama aired, Xiao Chu hit the hot search list. Her images were everywhere on social media. With less than 100 minutes of screen time, her cuts were edited into thousands of different videos. I called to congratulate her. Congratulations, beauty. You've leveled up. The other end of the line was quite noisy. It seemed Xiao Chu was busy on a new film set again. She laughed and replied, thanks, babe. Oh, right, do you want to act in a drama? I was a bit surprised. Huh? But I'm retired. Xiao Chu smiled and said, it's fine, it's just a small role. It's purely for comedic relief, and there isn't much screen time. Do you want to try it? Before I could refuse, she immediately sent over a script excerpt. I skimmed through it. Good heavens, wasn't this role tailor-made for me? Playing a half-dead corporate slave. Going to work like a soulless corpse, but clocking out as fast as a squirrel. Speaking a single sentence sounding like she's about to run out of breath, looking all day like she's had her life force sucked out. If there's a place to sit, she won't stand. If there's a place to lie down, she won't sit. A genuine, textbook slacker. I finalized it immediately. I'll take this gig. Who wouldn't love to lie down while working? Who wouldn't love having so few lines? After 1 month, my scenes were wrapped up. After 2 months, Xiao Chu's scenes were also finished. After 1 year, the drama finally aired. On the day of the premiere, the #1 trending keyword on the hot search was "Xia Zhixing has finally returned." The end.